Hello everyone, I am Prajwal. Today we are going to see how to perform a Java program that is nothing but Java keyth numbers. Okay, so we are going to see what this Java keyth numbers, what is this keyth number concept, and how we can write a program to check whether a number is a keyth number or not in Java. First of all, let's try to understand what this keyth number is. An example of a keyth number is 197. So let's try to understand how does the keyth number. What you have to do is you write 1, 9, 7 at the beginning. Okay. Now what you are doing is you have to generate a sequence. Okay. How the sequence is going to be is 197. The next term of the sequence will be sum of the previous three terms. Listen very carefully. Sum of the previous three terms. Tell me what is the sum? 1 plus 9, 10 plus 7 is going to be 17. Tell me what is the next term? Do quick math and tell me. 9 plus 7, 16. 16 plus 7 will be 1 plus 2 plus 1, 1 plus 1, 2 plus 3. Next number is going to be, what will it be? It is going to be 33. After this 33, we are going to get 57. After 57, see, I am only doing sum of previous three terms. This is going to be equal to sum of previous three terms. This is going to be equal to sum of previous three terms. This is going to be equal to sum of previous three terms. After this, I think you will be getting add and see 17 plus 33 plus 57. 27 plus 1, 2 plus 3, 5 plus 10. You will get 107. After this, I think you will get 197 if you add and see. Look at this very carefully. In this sequence generated, when we use the same pattern and continue, we are observing that the same number, the original number we took in the beginning, is appearing in this pattern. So if any number, when you are writing a sequence like this, if in the generated pattern, if the original number appears, then the number is said to be a keyth number. Okay, let's look at another example. 14. Look at this carefully. Let this be example 1. This is example 2. You see this example 14. So what we'll do, we'll write 1, 4. Now, because it's a 3-digit number, here we took sum of previous three terms. This is going to be sum of previous three terms. If it is a 2-digit number, we are going to take only sum of previous two terms. Okay. So how many number of digits? We have to take the sum of the previous n number of digits. If the number of digits is n, this number is going to be equal to sum of previous n terms. Okay. So because it's 2, we are going to only take the sum of previous two terms here. 1 plus 4 is 5. Then this number will be 4 plus 5, that is 9. This next number will be 5 plus 9, that is 14. So this is 14. If you observe carefully, in the sequence generated with 14, 14 is appearing. This means that 14 is a keyth number. Let us see an example where it's not a keyth number. Example 3, if you take 13, it's not going to be a keyth number. Look at this carefully. You will get 1, 3. Then 1 plus 3 will be 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. 4 plus 7 is 11. 11 plus 7 is 18. You're observing that this number is exceeding 13. When you are writing the numbers, keep checking. 4 is less than 13. No problem. I can continue. 7 is less than 13. I can continue. 11 is less than 13. I can continue. But when I come to 18, it is not less than 13. It is going to be greater than 13. Which means definitely there is no chance that 13 will appear in this pattern. This means that 13 is definitely not a keyth number. So I hope you have now understood what is a keyth number and how to check whether a number is a keyth number or not. Okay? Okay. Now let's see how to do this in programming. Okay. Now there is a very big problem in this. If you notice, this is very similar to the Fibonacci series. In Fibonacci series, we'll be checking only the sum of the previous two terms. So we'll be having, suppose it's Fibonacci series program. Let's imagine this is Fibonacci series program. And if you see Fibonacci series program, if it starts from 0, 1, we'll be having the sum of previous two terms, 1. Then we'll have previous two terms, sum 2. Then we'll have 3. So what we'll do is we'll keep a variable A, we'll keep a variable B, we'll keep a variable C, and then next time when we do the next operation, we'll make this as variable A, this as variable B, this as variable C. So we will require 3 variables in the Fibonacci series. But if you observe carefully, in the keyth number series, imagine that for 197, I'm keeping it as A, I'm keeping this as B, I'm keeping this as C, I have to keep this as D. Next time this has to become A, this has to become B, this has to become C, this has to become D. If I talk about this example, this will be A, B, this will be C, Next time I'll take this is A, B, C. If you observe carefully, if it's a 2-digit number, I need 3 variables. If it is a 3-digit number, I require 4 variables. Similarly, if I'm having a 4-digit number, I will require 5 variables to do the question. So this proves that with the Fibonacci series concept, by using 3 variables, you cannot achieve this task because you don't know how many variables you have to create. See, you cannot create number of variables depending upon user input. Number of variables have to be created at the end of the Java program itself before compilation. So we cannot create variables to do this program. But there is another concept which can flash your mind. Instead of using variables, we can use arrays. We can use arrays instead of variables, and length of array can vary. Okay, length of array can vary. Number of variables created cannot vary, which means this is the right choice. We need to use array concept here. This is the wrong choice. We cannot use only variables. We need to use arrays. Okay, so let me go to Excel to make you understand how we can achieve this task. Okay, let's first go to Excel. Let's imagine that the number we'll do for 197 itself before we do for the example. Let's imagine that we are doing for 197. So as I told you, we are going to use array concept to complete this program. So if you observe carefully, 197, I'll create an array of size 3. So I'm going to create an array of size 3, and I'll store 197 in this. Let me put everything as center text here. I'm going to store 197 in this. Okay, I'll store 197 in this. Now what I'm going to do is, I will be concentrating on the last element. Last element is going to be 7. I am going to check if 7 is going to be less. Okay, listen. Is 7 less than 197? If the answer is yes, then you can continue. So if the answer is yes, you can continue. Okay. So now I am going to continue to the next iteration. Next time what I'm going to do is, I am going to keep 9 here. I'll keep 7 here. Here what I'm going to fill is, this portion will be filled by sum of elements of the previous array. Okay. So look at the previous array. Find the sum of elements. What is the sum of elements? It's going to be 1 plus 8, 10 plus 1, 17. It's going to be 17. Now you fill it. Now again you consider the last element. Is 17 less than 197? If the answer is yes, you can continue. If the answer is yes, you can continue. Similarly, we will go to next iteration. I'll keep 7 here. I'll keep 17 here. And this will be sum of elements in this position. Okay, sum of elements in this position. So I think we are already calculated. It's going to be 33. Correct? It's going to be 33. So it's going to be 33. Again, you ask the question, is 33 less than 197? If the answer is yes, you can continue. So continue. Again, put 17 here, put 33 here, and here you're going to write sum of elements of this array. What is the sum of elements of this array? Can you tell me? Sum of elements will be 57. Again, ask the question, is 57 less than 197? Answer will be yes. So I am going to continue. The next, again, I'm going to continue. Look at it. I'll create next part. This will become 33. This will be 57. This will be sum of elements of this. So I think sum of elements was 107. So is 107 less than 197? Answer is yes. So I'm going to continue. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to check. Now here I'm going to write 57. Here 107. Here I'll get 197. Now, if the answer, now here we have got the condition that 197, the element here is equal to original number. If it's going to be equal to original number, what we'll be doing is, we will, now this is the condition for success, which means we have proved that this is a kth number. So what I can do is, I can create a flag variable at the beginning. Okay, I'll create a flag variable at the beginning. So flag variable, I'll keep it at the beginning. Okay, so I'll not assign any value to this. So I'll just keep it empty. It's a variable, it's not an array. Okay, it's a variable. So if I am getting this condition, so I'm getting its original number, then I am going to make flag is true. So flag is a variable that is going to store the result. So flag if I make flag as true, finally I will see the value of flag and I'll decide whether the number we have got is Keith or not. So see, now I've got flag as true. So now I'm putting flag is true. Finally, I will be seeing the value of flag. So see, now value of flag is true. So I'll print, yes, it is a Keith number. Okay? You understand? So this is an example of where it is a Keith number. Okay? So this is an example where it is a Keith number. Okay? Shall we see another example? We'll see another example. So I'll increase the size of the page. Yeah. We'll take 14. 14 means it's only two arrays. Okay? 1, it's going to be 1 and 4. 1 and 4. Okay? So is it 4? Is 4 less than number is 14? Is 4 less than 14? Yes, 4 is less than 14, so you can continue. Here what I'll do, I will delete only the first part, I'll keep 4 here. Okay, I think you understand the logic by now. You would have understood the logic what I'm doing. The 4, here is sum of elements of previous array. It's going to be 5. Is it lesser than 14? Yes, you can continue. Again, check here, 5. Now here, sum of elements of previous thing, 9. Is 9 less than 14? Yes, you can continue. Create another array. Here 9. Here you have to write the sum of elements of previous array, 14. Yes, now 14 is coming. Okay, this is equal to the original number, which means yes, we'll make flag variable as true. Finally, we'll print that the number is a Keith number. Okay, are you understanding? Now we'll see one more example where the number is not a Keith number to understand the negative process. How we will show that it is not a Keith number. So flag, I'll just keep flag as such. So I'm not going to modify the value of flag. Just keep flag without any modifications. Or keep without any modifications. Now what I'm going to do? Now let me take example of n as 13. Let me take n as 13. Now look here. I'll write 1, 3. Next time it's going to become 3, 4. Yeah. Next time it's going to become 4, 7. Next time it will become 7, 11. Every time you need to check is 3 less than 13. Yes, you can continue. 4 less than 13, you can continue. 7 less than 13, you can continue. 11 less than 13, you can continue. Next time if you see carefully, it will become 11 and 18. Now listen carefully. This is a condition wherein the number, the last element of the array is going to be greater than the number. So here 18 is greater than 13. So if you are getting this condition, it means there is no chance for the number to be Keith. There is no chance for 13 to be generated in this array, which means that the number is not a Keith number. So you will put flag false. Finally, we can see if flag is true, we will print true. If flag is false, we will print false. That is, it's not a Keith number. If it's true, we'll print it's a Keith number. If it is false, we'll print it's not a Keith number. So I think you're understanding. So to generalize this, what we'll be doing is, let me just generalize the concept. So generalization, we are going to see. So first, create array. Then what we are going to do? Keep checking the last element. Keep checking the last element. If last element, let me keep it as if last element is less than number, what you will do? You will continue. If last element is equal to the number, then what you will do? You will put flag is true, and you will end. Actually, you have to break here. Okay, you have to break because you don't need to see. At this case, sorry, in this place, where is it? Sorry, just 1 minute. Where is it? Yeah. In this place, after this, we are not creating any other array. This means we need to end the loop. We have to end the loop. So to end the loop, I need to write break. Similarly, so what is the remaining case? Remaining case is if last element is greater than the number. Or you put flag as false and you break. Create array. Also you have to create flag variable. Do you understand? So these are the cases that you have to consider when writing this code. Is that clear? Okay. Right. So this is the basic idea. This is the algorithm I've given. So using this algorithm, we are now going to write the Java code. Shall we? Yes. Come, let's write the Java code. Okay, so to do the program, I use Eclipse software. So here I have the software ready. So let me create a class called Keith. Okay. Oops, just a minute. We'll go to this program. Here I'll create a new class, Keith. Yes. So I'll import scanner class because I need to get some user input also. Okay. If you observe carefully, I am a person who loves to do programs by splitting it. See, we have to make, we are now going to do separate functions for each task. Finally, we are going to compile it. If you observe carefully, at this stage, we have to find the sum of elements of this array, correct? When we come here, we have to find sum of elements of this array. When we come here, we have to find the sum of elements of this array. So everywhere, we have to keep finding the sum of elements of an array, correct or not? So to achieve the task, first of all, I'll create a function to find the sum of elements of an array. So it's going to be a public function, it's going to be a static function. It is going to return an integer value. Integer value is going to be the sum of elements of the array. So let me name it as sum, and we will have to input an array into this. So the work of this function is, so to find sum of elements of an array. So whatever array we put into this function, it will return the sum of elements of the elements present in that array. Sum of elements of array. Whatever elements are present in that array, it will sum up and it will return the sum. So what we can do? I'll create a sum variable. This is a sum variable. I'll also create a length variable to store the length. So length of array. So what I'll be doing? I'll be looping from 0 till L. Okay, and I'm doing I plus plus. What I can do? I can do S equal to S plus X of I. Each time it is going to loop through each element of the array and it is going to keep storing it in the sum variable. It's going to keep adding it into the sum variable. So at the end of this loop, sum of elements of the array will be present in S variable. So what we can do? So here we will keep adding. Finally, what we will do? We will return the sum. Okay. So finally, we will be returning the sum. So this function is just a function that is going to return the sum of elements of any array that we are going to input. Okay. So I think this function is now clear. So, okay. Now I am going to create another function called shift function. Now, what I'm going to do is, if I give this array as input, I should get this array as output. That is, I am performing shift. This 9 I'm putting here, I'm putting the 7 here. Here I'm putting the sum of elements of this array. So I am performing some sort of a shifting operation. So if I give this array as input, I should get this array as output. So I am going to create a shift function. I'm going to next create a shift function. So shift array function. How I'll create it? Public static. It is going to return int. So it's going to return int array. So I'm going to keep return type as int array and name the function as shift. And what? It is also going to get an array as an input. See, we are going to give this array as input and we are going to bring this as output. How we can do it? So first I'll store the length of the array. So this is going to be the length of array. Then what I'm going to do? Okay. Now I'll also store the, say at the end I anyway have to store the sum of elements of this array, correct? So I'll just get the sum of elements of the array using this function. So now I'm going to use this function to get the sum of elements of this array. So int s is going to be equal to sum of x. So get sum of elements of array. Okay. After this, what I'm going to do? Now I'm going to first create a new array. If you observe carefully, the new array is going to have the same length as this array. Even if you take the case of 14, the new array is going to have the same length as the old array. So I can just write new int of L. No problem. Okay. Now look very carefully. I have to do a small explanation here. So let's imagine that this is 197. So let us 1, this is going to be 9, this is going to be 7. This will be position 0, this is going to be position 1, this is going to be position 2. Now I have created the new array and kept. Okay, this is going to be position 0, this is going to be position 1, this is going to be position 2. What we are going to do is, we are going to loop from position 0 till 1 only. That is till L. See, generally we will write I less than L. See, we will write I less than L, correct? When we are looping through the entire array. But now what I am going to do is, I'll write for int I 0, I less than L minus 1, I plus plus. I have written I less than L minus 1. What is the meaning of this? It means, it will, see if I write I less than L, it will start from here, end at the end. But if I am starting, if I'm writing I less than L minus 1, it will start here and it will end here. It is not going to reach the last place, will be left. The last place is not going to be looped. It is not going to come in the loop. So only the first two places. Suppose I'm having a array with 4 places. Let's imagine that I'm having a number 4, 5, just some random number 4, 5, 2, 1. Next time what it should happen? Next time it should become 5, 2, 1. So first I am going to copy it. So now I am going to do the copying operation. That is, this I am going to produce it here. For that I should loop from 0 only till 2. That is, I need to leave the last one. If I write less than L, I will go till 3. But now if I write less than L minus 1, I will only go till 2. Last element will be left out. So that is the concept of writing I less than L minus 1. Now what I am going to do is y of 1. So the new array is going to be equal to x of I plus 1. Try to understand this. Y of 1 is going to be equal to y of 0 is going to be equal to x of 1. That is, here copy this value. Here y of 1 is going to be equal to x of 2. Copy this value here. That's it. This is the logic involved. Okay. What is the logic? Y of I equal to x of I plus 1. So what we are doing is copy elements except last. Except at last position. This is what we are performing. We are performing this task of copying these 3 variables here. That is, in this example, these 2 variables we are copying, not variables, sorry, numbers, we are copying it here. Finally, at the end of the array, how to access the last element of array? The y of L minus 1. So y, what is, see, L is going to be 3. If I write y of L minus 1, I am accessing the last element, correct? Finally, what I'll do is y of L minus 1 is going to be equal to sum, correct? So last element equal to sum of array elements of previous array, correct? Sum of elements of previous array. So that concept I'm applying it. So now I have finally created the new array. Now what I'm doing? Using I already have a variable s that stores the sum of elements of this array. What I'll do? This will now become 17. That's it. So see, successfully we have generated the second array. See, we have generated the new array. This is y. And what we have to do? There's a int returning function. Our aim was just to create it and return it. So we will manage all the managing tasks we'll be doing in the main function later. For now, what we have to do? We will just return the new array that we have created. So we are going to return by. So return new array. That's it. Okay. Is it clear till now? I hope it is very clear till now. Okay. Let's proceed now. Now I'm going to write the main function. I'm going to now write the main function. So what I'll do? I'll write public static void main string args. So what I'm going to do? Let me just give a initial touch, that is system.out.println. I'll just write the heading as Java Keith numbers. Just for neatness, I will leave a space. Now I'll request the user, please enter a value, please enter a number. Then what I'll do? I'll create a scanner class object. Like this, I'll create a scanner class object. And I'll get the input from the user, input number. The number we want to check, I'll get it from the user. Okay. Now, what I'll do? Now listen carefully. We need to write one more function. Okay. You have to write one more function. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you about this. Convert number into array. Okay, listen very carefully. The user is going to give the number in the form of a number in integer. It's going to be int. Okay, int n is going to be 197. But the first stage, we want to convert that integer into an array. Correct? We want to convert an integer given by the user as an array, and the array is nothing but array of digits. This is the starting point. Correct? Starting point has to contain array as a sum of digits. Sorry, not sum of digits, as an array of digits. So to do that, we are going to write another function. Okay. So what we are going to do, this also will be public static. It is going to return an array. Okay. I'll name the function as array, but it is going to get n as input. Whatever n we get to it, it is going to create an array of digits and return it. Let's try to understand this function. First, I will find how many digits are there. See, integer class doesn't have any mechanism to find number of digits. But if you remember carefully, string class has a dot length method, correct? Dot length method is found only in string class. They are only in string class. So what we can do? Suppose we are having a number 98. I want to find how many digits are there. If I convert to string 98 and apply dot length, can I get the answer as 2? Correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert the number into a string. How we can convert a number into a string? Just to add an empty quotes to it, and then add empty quotes to it. To this, if I apply dot length, this will give me number of digits. Correct. Number of digits. This is going to be equal to the array length. See how many number of digits? 197 has 3 digits, which means I am going to create an array of length 3. Okay. So now I am going to create the new array. Int x is let me name the variable array as x. Int of L. So array. Okay. Now the question is how I am going to fill the array. It's a very interesting part. Look at this very carefully. I have created initially. I have kept it as well. I mean, there's nothing stored here. Listen very carefully. You must be knowing about the remainder concept. How to extract digits one by one. If not, please study that and come. How to extract digits one by one from an integer. So if you observe carefully, how I'm going to extract it. Suppose it's 197. If I do 197 mod 10, I'll get 7. Okay. Now this 7 I'll store here. See, I'll just try to explain it as simple as possible. Originally we are having number as 187. I'll apply mod 10. If I apply mod 10, I'll get 7. This 7 I'll store it here. Next time I'll do n equal to n slash 10. Now new n value will be 1 in 19. Next time, next iteration, when it is 19, and again do mod 10, it will become 9. This 9 I'll store it here. Then I'll do n equal to n mod 10, n slash 10. Then n is going to be equal to 1 now. Then next time n will be 1. So perform mod 10, I'll get 1. This 1, sorry, this 1 I'll store it here. Then I'm again going to apply n equal to n slash 10. Then n will become 0. So now the array is filled. Okay. If you observe carefully, I am accessing the array from back to front. Okay, so I'm accessing the array from back to front, not from front to back. This is the backward method of accessing. You're accessing from back to front. So because I'm accessing the array from back to front, for int I is L minus 1. I should start at L minus 1 and I should end at 0. And I should keep doing I minus minus, not I plus plus. Okay, this is a way to access the array from last to first. What I'll do? I'll do x of I will be nothing but n mod 10. That's it, right? I need to perform one more iteration also. I need to this mod I have to store in this. I have to store in this corresponding position. Also, I need to perform this, correct? After the end of an iteration, I need to also make n equal to n slash 10. So what I'll do? Instead of writing it here itself I'll put a comma. I'll write n equal to n slash 10. So this is going to simplify the task for me. I can also write as n slash equal to 10. This is a special operator. Okay. So writing n equal to n slash 10 and n slash equal to 10 is the same. So it doesn't make difference. That's it. So this is how I am storing the number in the form of an array. Okay. Finally, what I'll do? Finally, I'll return the array. Return number array of digits. That's it. So I successfully created a function which will convert the number into array of digits. Okay. So now listen. So now I created the function. So what I'm going to do is int of array. I'll make the name of the array as A. I'll just invoke the array function. I'll give n as input. So this will go to this function. Make that n into array. Return it. It will get stored in this value. Okay. So I'll also keep a variable L to store the length of the array. So this is going to store length of array. Now what I'm going to do is one more concept I'll bring into this. This what I'm going to tell now is not compulsory. If you're interested, you can do it. If you're not interested, you don't have to do it. I'll tell it at the end. Okay. For now, we will focus on the main part. Boolean n flag. I told you we have to create a flag variable and keep it aside. Okay. We are going to create a flag variable and keep it aside. Now listen carefully. I'm now going to create a while loop. I'll keep no condition into it. Okay. So how I'm going to exit the while loop? Inside the statements, I told you this logic, correct? I told you this logic. So anyway, we are putting break statements here. So writing some condition inside the while loop is not necessary. When I'm having break statements inside, writing condition here is not necessary. Okay, so I'll just keep a loop without any condition. Now, as I told you, we are going to concentrate on the last element. See, we are going to concentrate on last element. How to find the last element of an array? A of L minus 1, correct? A of L minus 1. What is the first case? First case, if it is lesser than the number. Okay, wait, what we'll do is, we'll keep this as last case. We'll keep this as last case. We'll keep it as last case. First case, we'll check if it is last number is equal to number. So what I'll do is, if A of L minus 1 is equal to N, what I'm going to do? Matched, correct? What I'll do? I'll put flag as true and I'll break. Okay? Next, I'm going to check if last number is greater than the number. So if last number is greater than the number, that is greater, which means there is no chance of the number appearing in the series. So there's no chance of it being a kth number. So make it false and break it. What is the only remaining case? The only remaining case is if it is lesser. If it is lesser, just continue. Now, if you have to continue, what is the meaning of continue? Continue means you go to next step, create another array. So for next step, what I can do? I can just do like this. A is equal to shift of A. So I can invoke the shift function here and I can modify this original array itself as this shifted array. So next time, for the next iteration, A will become the shifted array because the original array has changed. Okay. So replace array with shifted array. So for next iteration, we don't have to keep creating many arrays. Just one array, we can keep on modifying it and keep checking. Is that clear? Okay. Then what I'm going to finally, what I have to do? I'm going to check if flag is true. What I'm going to do? System.out.println n is a kth number. Else system.out.println n is not a kth number. That's it. Logic is very simple. Shall we run this program and see? Yeah, we'll run this program and see. I don't think there's any error. Yeah, I don't think there's any error. Okay. Let's proceed. Let's run this program and see. Yeah, enter a number. We'll enter 197. See, 197 is a kth number. See how nice it is, right? How nice it is. We'll run one more time. This time we'll put 14. 14 is a kth number. Very good, very good, very good. Nice. I'll put 198 and see. Oh, 198 is not a kth number. Very good, very good. Let me put 13 and see. That's also not a kth number. See, the logic was very simple. Okay, I'll just do one revision. First, we'll have a function to convert number into array. So we are giving a number, and it creates an array of digits, and it's going to return it. This function is going to find the sum of elements of an array. So it's going to find the sum of elements of an array. This function is a function that we are using to keep on shifting. So we are shifting from one level to another. So this is going to shift it into this. It will shift it into this. So it's constantly performing the shifting operation. Finally, all the operations we have compiled and we have put it in the main function. And here, these are the three cases I told you. These are the three cases which I mentioned here. Okay. If last number is equal number, put flag as true and break it. If last number is greater than number, put flag as false and break it. If the last number is still less than the number, you can keep on continuing. That is continue, you have to shift. That is what you have to do. You have to shift and then continue. I don't have to write the word continue because I'm not breaking it. So because I'm not breaking it, there's no necessity for me to write the word continue. Okay. So I just bring it. Automatically it will go to the next iteration. I think this concept is very clear. So okay. Okay. Very good. Right. We have completed the program. Now in the middle, when I was writing the program, I told you that I am going to now discuss one concept, which now is only meant for Java lovers. Okay. So what? So just think of it. Wouldn't it be nice if for this 197, wouldn't it be nice if the sequence also is shown? So imagine we are showing the sequence and then we are saying because 197 is in the sequence, it is a kth number. Imagine we are showing the sequence and then we are saying because 14 is appearing, it is a kth number. Imagine we are showing the sequence and we are saying because 13 does not appear, it is not a keith number. So if you are also able to show this sequence, the program will become even better. Okay. So now I'm going to do a small modification to this to also show the exact sequence that gets generated. How to do this? Look at this very carefully. So what I'm going to do is, before the while loop, first into the I'm going to create a string variable. Okay. So I'm going to create a string variable. So this is going to be the variable to store the sequence. Okay. So I'm going to store the sequence. Finally, I'm going to output the string. Okay. First, we have to add the current number. Okay. We have to first write 1, 3. This is the first part. Okay. First here, you have to to string need to add this 1, 9, 7. How we can do that? It's a very simple task. So what you do is you loop the array for it I0, I less than L, I plus plus, str plus equal to a of I. Also add a comma. Okay, is it nice? So now we have successfully added 1, 9, 7. Now, how to keep adding the next elements? So in this area, if we know that we have to continue, so we know that we have to continue. We know that we have to continue. What we'll do is, here we will add the string str plus equal to a of L minus 1. A of L minus 1. Correct? So if I write a of L minus 1, the new element that now is added. See, at the first 1, 9, see, before the loop starts, 1, 9, 7 will be there. Okay? Now, after this loop completes, 17 is new, correct? We have to add the 17. So it will add a of L minus 1. It will add 17 to this. So like this, using this logic, next time it is going to do comma 33. Like this string will get generated. Okay. So this is how the string is going to get generated. So I think you're understanding this logic. So we have to write str plus equal to a of L minus 1 plus comma. Okay. Then what I can print here? Before printing the result, I write system.out.println sequence generated. Let press str. And for extra effect, I'll also put some ellipses. 3 dots I'll just put. Now I'll just modify this code also. If flag system.out.println as n appears, what am I doing? Appears in the sequence, it is a keith number. Else system.out.println as n does not appear in the sequence, it is not a keith number. So if we do this modification, the sequence which we generate will also be visible. Just look at this program. I'll write 197. Just look at this. Sequence generated 1, 9, 7, 17, 33, 57, 107, 97. As 197 appears in the sequence, it is a keith number. See, this modification increases the program's complexity. It also increases the beauty of the program. See, all the sequence is shown along with the result. See how nice it is. I'll do the same for 14 and see. I'll do for 14. See, see the sequence is shown 1, 4, 5, 9, 14. As 14 appears in the sequence, it is a keith number. See, we'll do for 198 and see. We'll do for 198 and see. See, sequence generated. They are showing the sequence also. As 198 does not appear in the sequence, it is not a keith number. Let's do it for 13 also and see. 13. Sequence generated 1, 3, 4, 7, 11, and see. Sequence is shown. And it's also printing as 13 does not appear in the sequence. It is not a keith number. Let me do one more modification. I'll just give a finishing touch to the program. It is. Let me just write bye-bye. I like to give some finishing touches to my programs always. It's your wish. Let me do the last trial, 197. See, enter number 107, 197. Sequence generated as 197 appears in the sequence. It is a keith number. Bye-bye. See how nice the program is. Okay. So this was all about Java keith numbers. Please look at the code and you can type it in your computer and see the output. Okay. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel for more updates. I'll be discussing many such programs and you will be falling in love with computing languages. Okay. Bye bye.